number 10 of IndieCorner. Yes, we have two full hands right now of episodes to watch, but this time we're going to be talking with
Get it?
Luis, which is the CEO and the lead designer for Madmimic. First of all, thank you so much for accepting our invite, Luis.
Hey, what up?
Hey, thank you very much for the invitation as well. What's up? Is up?
Yeah, it's okay. Unfortunately, you weren't. Oh, and by the way, other thing, we are here with Schmuckman,
Hi.
also, like always.
Yep, I'm
Unfortunately,
here.
you weren't at Lisbon Games Week, right? It was only Luis, and I don't remember the name of the other person that was there.
Yeah, so I think for the Lisbon event, it was only Luis, my my business partner. It's kind of
Okay.
Uh,
funny. We are both Luis.
hold up a
Okay.
minute. Does that?
Watch Mickey.
It's episode 10, not 9.
The name is okay. The title. Okay, I will take care of that in a moment. Um, but yeah, I've met your project. I think it wasn't at Lisbon Games Week. It was on the previous event at Indie X. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was in the X.
Yeah. So I saw your project and I was like, maybe I want to speak with Luis, and it was fun. Man, I love the aesthetic of the game and how the game plays. It's very good. It's very fluid. Um, but first things first. You guys already released a few other games, right? Let's talk a little bit about the studio itself. How you guys created the studio? How you guys met each other and all of that?
Yeah, perfect. So
Yep.
yeah, in Madmimic, we already released two titles. The first one in 2017, No Heroes Here. It's a co-op game, and in 2018 we released another game with the same premises of No Heroes Here with a Brazilian IP. It's called Mônica.
Mm-hmm.
The game is Mônica e a Guarda dos Coelhos, and it's focused mostly on co-op as well, but for a more younger,
Audience.
play audience.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Mad Mimic, we started in the end of like the first ideas of having Mad Mimic was in the end of 2016, early 2017, when me and the other Louis, we already had a studio,
Mm-hmm.
but we were way more focused on outsourcing and services,
Mm-hmm.
and we knew we wanted to make. Work as full time in as game developers. So and things weren't shaping as we thought. So we were like, okay, let's do it. Like, why spending so much resources trying to like go to services and everything when we know we have a good team and like at least we can give it a shot
Mm-hmm.
to develop games, and we tried with No Heroes. And just in the beginning, the end of 2016, when we were starting to think of like actually creating Madmimic, we had an opportunity to win governmental competition
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil that helped us with like the starter money for the project.
Okay.
And just after
Nice.
that, yeah, it was pretty cool. And just after that, we went to Game Connection America.
Wow.
Uh,
The
and
beacons all there.
yeah, and we won best social game there for the projects in development. So it was kind of good for us as Moreo. Like we shift our priorities and things were doing well.
Yeah.
And from that, we basically start to go like full steam on game development.
Yeah, so you guys really saw that, hey, we're probably doing something very right here. So that's cool that you guys won all of those prizes.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here in Portugal, Schmuckman, it's from US, so I can only speak about Portugal. We do have, well, it's something similar for indie games. It's the PlayStation Awards. I don't know if you know that, but we had this on the past month. I think it was 2 months ago. So
At
it's
this point, I
cool.
think it was 2 for you.
Yeah, I think it was 2 months. So it's pretty good that people are actually putting eyes on those prizes. That means that, well, there's actually access to those sorts of things, and that can help you guys to produce your own games. So without that, you guys didn't have the idea that, hey, probably we are doing something good here. So GG's to that. And
Nice.
I also tried that game that you were talking about. I think that game is available for that app. I don't remember the name, but you are allowed to play with your phone. Am I
Oh
right?
yeah, our console.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That one. I tried the
Yeah.
game. It's fun.
Yeah, No Heroes is pretty hard actually.
Well, yeah, I noticed that. I installed the game, I was playing, but then I saw the logo and I was like, hold on, that's Madmimic. So it was fun to see that you guys did that game. Yeah, for those who don't know, that game is available for Air Console. That is a free app, but there's also a paid version. But the free app is available, and you guys can actually try that game that Madmimic worked on.
Yeah, so like No Heroes you can find on our console, and it was a pretty good experience for us to be closer to mobile, but like the game is co-op, so it's
Yeah.
not exact mobile. But it was pretty cool because it was our first project, and we
Mhm.
were able to get access to the other platforms as well. So
Mhm.
we were really lucky to be able to release it to Nintendo and PS4 as well, Switch. So
Nice.
we were pretty hyped with the like first project being able to be on Switch. Was pretty awesome.
Nice. So tell
That's
me
awesome.
something. How's the development for a game that is able to play with your phone? Is that in any way different? I mean, I'm talking about this because I'm a person that don't know how to code. I have zero idea how to code. So
Mix.
yeah. So it's there any difference between creating a project for instance, Steam, and a game that it's able for you to play with your phone?
Yeah, so I'm not a coder as well. I'm focusing way more on
Hmm.
game designing, and project management.
Okay.
But I was really close to the development for both for all
Hmm.
platforms, right? And yeah, changed totally. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
uh, yeah, so like we even had to make some level design changes to
Okay.
the mobile version, to the Air Console version, because we had to follow some rules
Hmm.
that the company Air Console they had to us, because they knew what was best for the platform.
Hmm.
The response is not as fast, like it's kind of laggy and stuff. So because No Heroes is too fast paced,
Hmm.
we had to adjust a lot. Like it wasn't just on the code part.
Hmm.
uh, it was already like a big difference. We also had to like adapt a lot of stuff to have a good feel, and if you play one or you play the other, you have like similar experience.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the game is very hard because you need the powder, then you need the bombs itself, then you need to press the button for that cannon to explode. Damn, there's a lot of stuff's going on, and it was tough for me. I was playing alone, so yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, it's not recommended to play alone. It's
Well, I was here at home alone, so I couldn't invite anyone. Which sucks.
yeah, I understand. I understand.
Um, but yeah, let's talk about Dandy Ace itself. It was the game that I was presented, that opened the doors for your studio. Um, let's talk about the idea behind and the inspirations for the game itself. Um, it's a game genre that people are kind of used to watch right now. It's like a roguelike game with upgrades. But what this game differentiates from the others?
Yeah, so the game is totally on the roguelike trend. One of the things when we started a new project is we knew we didn't want to make a co-op game. It's
So this is purely
uh,
single player, huh?
yeah, totally. We shifted completely from our previous two previous games.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew we wanted to make a game with a lot of replayability. For indie games, like, it's huge because you can focus on smaller scale game loops,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps a lot, like development wise, and you can validate things pretty quickly. Like, you don't it takes away a lot of risks that you would find in a more like linear games or RPGs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but we also knew like that roguelike, even though like it's I love the genre, right? But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
too populated with games, right? So we knew we wanted to make like we had to make a good roguelike, or at least a roguelike, not necessarily a good game, because like a lot of games can be good but not sell. But we knew that we want for us to make a game that could excel on the market. When I say excel on the market, it's at least reach something, right? It can like we can at least like have a good result business wise. And we saw a trend in the roguelike genre that roguelike is a genre that it's always reinventing itself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I think if you go to the Wikipedia page about roguelike, I think we are in the new roguelike. And it's
Okay. I
always
never saw that.
yeah,
Actually.
it's because like it's the pure roguelike, it's turn based and 100% procedural, and like you always have like those games that are breakthroughs in the genre.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we realized lately is that, at least our analysis in 2018, and sorry, in the end of 2018, is that if you bring something new to the experience of the roguelike,
Mm-hmm.
you have a lot of potential. So when you see games like Dead Cells, that it's a Souls-like on a roguelike
Dead Cells.
progression. Yeah, me too. You see Hades now being developed by Supergiant. They have our story-driven roguelike with heavy on action, and you have Into the Breach that it's a tactical game. Of course, like roguelikes used to be turn-based, but it's explored in a different way. And you had Faster Than Light, even the Slay the Spire, that's roguelike with like
Yeah. Yeah.
card games. So one thing we realize is like you you can excel and you can do well and you can have an amazing game with roguelike if you bring something new to the table of the roguelikes. You
Yeah.
know, so like all these games that I said, they didn't innovate
But
in
they
the
show
actual
something new inside of
in the
that.
roguelike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was something that we were chasing when we made Danny Ace. Like, we wanted to have a game that like we could use this roguelike progression. So like we very fast game loops and entertaining game loops with a lot of difficulty, and it has a appealing for streamers, and it's fun to watch, and it's really fun to play. but
And
it had to
cat
be
likes to screw you over.
yeah, but it also had to be something different from like 2D top down like pixel art bullet hells, you know, like we had to do something. And we were always like huge fans of super giant games like Bastion and Transistor.
I love
Yeah.
Bastion.
And I one day we were talking, like when we were in the brainstorm process of finding a new game, we kind of was thinking about a lot of genres, and we were like, what would happen if like we put Transistor that has like an amazing ability combination mechanics with Dead Cells? Like, what happens if we do that? And that was the
Main
origin
idea.
of the
Okay.
yeah, because like basically the game is, if you go to the core, is you're combining abilities in a roguelike with like a progression. We had a lot of inspirations in the Dead Cells progressions, so we started from them. We're like, okay, like that can work. So we started to think, but we also had like other things to see, like what theme we could go with. Like, okay, we have the mechanics, we know it can work. What themes we could go, and uh, we had a few ideas. I don't remember much of them now, but like we were between something more like mecha combinations, or like you have the robot and the
Okay.
abilities, or we can
Hey,
have
that
like
sounds fun.
You know
yeah,
what? The main character kind of reminds me one character from League of Legends. You know, Twisted Fate.
yeah,
It looks like it, or even that one from Marvel, the
Gambit.
Gambit. Yeah.
Yeah, but like
I can see it. I can see it.
but in the beginning, we weren't thinking about like Twisted Fate, neither Gambit. We were more like we were actually watching too much of JoJo Bizarre Adventures, so
Okay.
we want we
Nice.
want something. Um, so like we want something more like I don't know. I know like the end, the character is not much JoJo-ish, but like it was a huge inspiration. We wanted something more. When we thought about JoJo, like we want something with different colors. Like when you see the NDAs, we don't want to see like all the color, the traditional color palette. So like more Danjo-ish or stuff. We wanted to something like that, like it's lavish in a way. So like
It's
not just lavish,
flashy. It's
yeah,
showy.
flashy, yeah, and it's different, you know. So that's why, like I think
Gonna stand out
our
in the crowd.
yeah. So like our two main colors would be, I think the artists are going to kill me if I say that wrongly, but for me, when I see the game, like I see a lot of like purple and
Yeah.
pink.
Yeah.
So so we wanted to stand out, and we thought like having a mecha. One of the cool things about mecha, it's like building your mecha, and would be too hard for us, like production wise and like time wise, to change the character like with different gears, you know, like would
Yeah.
be
Okay.
kind of so we were thinking about scope as well. Like we thought like if we go with a magician, like a lot of games combine cards and abilities and stuff, and if we combine cards, like just cards, you don't need to like go to the character itself. So we kind of thought like that the magician could work pretty well, like the theme, like with these different more crazy sets that we have with the core mechanics. So we ended up going with the magician theme.
So it's your abilities are cards, and your character throws cards. So it mix pretty well.
Yeah.
It's around cards, the game. No, but yeah, I was playing the game even before the podcast, and Mel told me that the game kinda looks a little bit like Hades, like how it plays. You know that game?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, sure. The funny thing is like I went after AIDS just after the prototype of the game, but we have a lot of inspirations on other Supergiants games. So it was kind of natural that like if they are doing a roguelike action game, like uh, we would ended up going a similar way. Like we even like had transistor as our one of the
Yeah.
main mechanics references. Uh, but yeah, like I think Hades is a bit more fast paced than the Ace, but it plays similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
It
similar,
is.
yeah.
It is what I do on that game is I'm always dashing. It's one
Yeah.
mechanic that you
Hmm.
really need to do. There's a lot of traps. There's a lot of stuff going on, such as like Dundee Ace. But I feel like Dundee Ace it's a little bit slower on that aspect as well, which is not a bad thing. Okay, it's like you said, inside of the roguelike, it's a little bit different. So it plays a little bit different, and the
Yeah.
abilities as well.
Yeah, like on Hades, you're way more focused on like you choose a weapon in the beginning and like you want to you start getting stronger and stronger with like that play style.
Hmm.
And one of the things we wanted to focus a lot, and this is really heavy on the NDAs, is changing our play style.
Hmm.
Because like your cards are they have levels
Hmm.
similar to like the item progression from Dead Cells.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
eventually like your items, your cards start to get obsolete, and you have to change for the stronger ones that you find in the run.
Yeah.
And we want players to like even in a single run to change a lot the way they play. So like you can start playing with like a melee build, and like in the middle you can go to a more like heavy attack build, and then if you find like another good dash, you have like you end up with like a lot of movement. So like we want to explore this like player creativity,
Hmm. Okay.
and that's like one of the main things about us. Like we make everything easier for the players to be able to swap abilities.
Okay. Sometimes I really wish that I could stay with that card, but then I see another card from a higher tier, and man, I have to go for this one. I'm dealing 0 damage.
No
But
two runs will be the same.
exactly. I do like a lot the passives that you guys added. So, for instance, if you pick another card, you can incorporate that on one of your attacks. And the best combination that I found until now was I don't know the name of the card, but it's that card that throws 3 cards. You know that
It's
ability.
not the one that for five cards, the five of a kind.
Yeah, you were throwing
Yeah,
five.
that one, 5, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can throw that, but then you can knock back your enemies. That is good. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah. So like that's that's what we want. Like every card has an active ability and then a passive ability that you can upgrade with other cards with, and it's really fun to like see people playing and figuring out like the best builds they like, or even how they are going to play. So
Mhm.
um, um, I see people playing that combination you said, like you have those 5 cards with um, the knockback,
Mhm.
and I saw people playing with that with as a defensive build. Like the five of a kind was a lower level; it
Okay.
wasn't doing much damage, but with that, no melee enemy could approach him
Mhm.
because when the melee enemy was going to approach, he was just knocked then away. So like they would use other card to like
Yeah.
kill them. So like just seeing those type of difference and like how people work with this combination is pretty fun and pretty real. I feel really happy that we were able to see that working. Like
Mhm.
when you're designing and you're like, oh, I think people are going to experiment, and seeing that people are doing that,
Yeah.
it's really really good.
Yeah. Sometimes I have a hard time picking up the right mechanics and choices for that ability that I'm using because they are also good. There's a knockback, there's the fire, and there's the bleeding effect. They are all great. And it's fun to see the enemy struggling because there's a lot of stuff's going on the screen and you can put up to it's not passive but it's debuff on the enemy.
Yeah.
So it's fun to watch the enemy struggle. trying to reach you, but then he dies because he's on fire.
On fire, poison, and then bleeding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that first boss fight, I only reached that boss room once. It's hard because, like you said, I need to change my abilities, and I had that 5 of a kind with bleed effects, but it was, I believe that it was tier 2. So I
Oh
was,
yeah, it's low level.
yeah, I was doing like super low damage, but yeah, I was going for it. I was about to kill him, but then he killed me because of the poison, that poison effect.
Yeah.
Okay. And I died, and I was super sad. But that one was
Got
my best
attached.
run.
Don't get attached in games like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Your run
so
is going
like,
to be dramatically different near what you start with, what you end with,
Yeah.
wherever you end anyway. Night and day difference.
Yeah.
yep. We even joke here that like one of the things we wanted in the beginning was like, oh, let's want people to like experiment and like do all things, but then realize that's the hardest thing in the game. Like you're using dash as your escape ability, and then you swap to a blink,
Yeah.
and like the distance, the cooldown, the caching time, the recovery time, everything changes, and like you're oh my god,
Exactly.
I'm dying.
Oh wow.
Exactly that. So I'm super attached to the abilities that I had before. Then I had to change this because it's a higher tier. Oh my god! But yeah, you guys did great because that's the main objective is to change mechanics that fast. Um, Tell me something about the story. I don't know if I can talk about the story.
Sure.
So the story, it's we got cursed inside of a mirror, right? So we
Yeah.
need to get out of the mirror. So that means that there's also a story with the ending, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea is you were imprisoned. Ace was imprisoned inside this cursed mirror created by his like rival,
The green
and
dude.
yeah, the green-eyed illusionist,
Yeah.
and he wants to. When you defeat him, you you can trigger the end of like
Mhm.
destroying the mirror, but it actually doesn't work because you have to play again.
So it's double cursed. I see. I will destroy. No, actually, no.
You're taking the ghosts and goblins approach.
Sorry.
Taking what is it, ghosts and goblins?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
I was wondering one thing though. You know how we keep going back to Dead Cells as a hey, you do this, you do upgrades like that. Um, you know how Dead Cells you have the brutality, endurance, and survival, or whatever the heck.
Mhm.
You don't
Yeah,
have
the
anything
attributes.
like that, do you? Or the equivalent of a colorless item, do you?
No, no. That's one of the things like when we were prototyping and starting the design of the game is we didn't want to give players attributes because we actually want players to like be able to swap everything. So like when you play that Celsa, they give the opportunity of like having the colorless item. I think nowadays you find them when you open cursed chests.
Yeah.
So like
Or
that's the only.
killing random elites if you find
Oh
them on the
yeah,
map.
yeah. So like it's extreme challenges for the game because like being cursed on that cells it's a hell.
Ah, you're done.
It is.
One hit and you're done.
And even elite enemies like they are really tough. Like they are hell. And but that's the only way. Like if you go survival, but like you don't want to play with shields or nowadays there's a lot more weapons.
Mhm.
But like if you want to go like with another brutality weapon, you had to find a colorless weapon to be able to use your maximum attributes. So like it, we wanted to be more free. Like if you were playing like let's say a heavy control build, so like you have a dash with a buff, and then you have like a 5 of a kind card of type that like it's mid range, mid close range, and then you have like 2 control cards like with stun and charm, and you want to play around that. But then you find like an extremely strong melee card. We really want player to be able to like have no restraints to change everything they have in the build.
Yeah.
So like that's why we didn't go with this attribute approach. Like we don't want like this other type of progression to diminish the not diminish but like limit a little bit the player's choice.
Okay. Okay. No, it's cool. It's cool because every single card have a specific color, in which, like you were saying, you have the attack, you have the defensive ability, like such as the charm, and even the one. It's not slow. It's really
The pool.
the pull as well. But there's that one that it stops the enemy. I'm missing the word.
Stun.
Stun. Exactly. So yeah, every single color equals to a different type of ability. So for the dashing ability, there's green, there's the blue, there's the purple color for the well, let's just say the normal attack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's like Shmek, you were saying, the brutality in Dead Cells equals to red color. So every single color has a different type of ability.
Yeah. So like sorry.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So like the yellow cards are more a little bit harder to have like a specific word about it, but like we want blue cards, they are movement cards. Pink cards, they are your basic attacks. Like they have short cooldowns, really quick to use, and they have damage. And the yellow cards, like we like to think more about like utility spells. So like
Okay, makes
you
sense.
have like control cards like the dazzling display that like it's a huge stun cone, or even a black hole that pulls enemies in. But you also have defensive abilities like later on in the game, like we'll be able to find a shield that like ignores an attack and explodes in an area. You also have in the beginning you have the packet trick that you drop 5 cards in the floor. That like it's not an attack card, but I think that's the card that deals most damage in the game. But
Okay.
it has like a bigger cooldown. So like all these utility cards, from defensive, control, and even offensive type of cards, they are set into the yellow.
Okay. So there's only 3 colors for cards, right?
Yeah.
There's okay. Only. It's too much. Something that we always ask to the people that we invite is about the Kickstarter project or Indiegogo project. Have you guys
Doing any crowdfunding
Yeah.
anytime soon?
I think at the moment we didn't go with any of like crowdfunding projects. This is not something that we discussed much. I think a little bit of lack of experience of this type of plannings, and I don't know. We didn't thought much for Kickstarters. We planned it for a while to see like how it would be going, like with other types of launching, like early access and stuff. Not that like it's not that like we're going to do or not going to do. It's more like we were thinking more in that direction. The reasons is more like it's something we feel more comfortable at the moment.
Okay, I see. Yeah, because a Kickstarter project, it's well, a hell of a work. It's like you guys are still doing the project, right? How far are you from the hand part of the game? So, how far are you from finishing the final product?
Too close.
Too close.
Yeah, we want we want to finish the project. We are planning to release in the end of July.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Yeah, and considering that we still have to get approved on the 3 platforms,
Mhm.
so like Switch, Xbox, and PS4, we actually
That's
have to.
new. That's new.
Oh.
Yeah, I had no idea that you guys were releasing that for Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, yeah, we
That's
really want
great.
to.
That's great.
I think it can fit really well with the video.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I'm always saying, please release games on Nintendo Switch. We like that.
So considering that we have to like get approved after we port the games, we basically have 3 months to like finish.
Okay. Okay.
So
So,
it's scary.
well, yeah, we already in March, April. Well, you guys have 4 months. Damn.
Yeah. Yep. So it's crazy.
So the window, guys, of the window for the release, it's July. You guys mark on your agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Um, Shmaki, do you have any question prepared? Actually, no one asked anything on Twitter. I forgot to mention that on Twitter, because people can actually ask questions to us to put to you guys, but we receive none because, like I said, I forgot to ask to Twitter. God, that wasn't good. But I will do a thread if people want to ask you anything. I will tag you and let's see how it goes. Um, so yeah, that's great news. That's news in first hand for me. Switch. That's
Yeah, really.
cool.
That's
great.
amazing.
Awesome.
What's this?
So the version that I'm playing right now, I mean, I would say that it's a final product, but
No,
no.
no. Every week it gets we are being able to change like upgrading a lot of stuff. So we are like crazy here, like doing all the finishing touches. So like it's pretty good actually, but there's always so many things to do.
It's placed so well. I mean, like I said, it really looks like a final product.
No,
So-
but like we are really close to like we are
Okay.
really 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 close to like to finish everything and just like focusing on bugs and the part.
Okay. So at Madmimic, how many people work there? And so you're the lead designer, right?
Yeah, in the team that developed the game, it's like basically the main team of the team that we have at Madmimic. We are 2 designers, 2 programmers, 3 artists, and now we are with 2 QAs.
Okay.
So that means I think 8 or nine. I think it's
9. Yeah. Two. Yeah. It's 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a big team.
yeah.
How you guys
Nice.
brainstorm everything?
Ah,
I mean, there's a lot of ads to think about new ideas. To brainstorm everything, it must be tough.
yeah, like the brainstorm part is like I think it's the hardest. Once we started getting into the ideas, we have like a lot of processes that like practices we've been gathering from our previous experiences and like studying a lot. So like once we have the core and we understand like what we want, it's kind of developed in a linear way, like the line of thought. So like with 98s, as I said, like we thought like, oh, in the brainstorm, like I want to have something more like A plus B, so like transistor with that cells, and from that like we already started to have a direction. Okay, so like that's what we want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically from that, like following, we always have like some steps we follow when we design things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like I'm pretty surprised that the design work with, not that surprised actually, like those two references are pretty solid. I think that the hardest part for this game would be like to actually work in a large scale, and how we would develop it. I think that
Mm-hmm.
would be the hardest part. Like
Mm-hmm.
how, like we have this good idea, how do we make it?
Yeah, I was actually in Lisboa as well. There was a talk show. There was someone from Ubisoft. He was also Brazilian, and he was talking about that the brainstorm of a project. Like, there's a huge theme, and then he's the person that needs to lead the ideas. I don't know what he did. I think it was something for Assassin's Creed. Um, and yeah, the thought process can be tough. So there's always someone that needs to lead the ideas. So you're as well, let's say the CEO of the company. You're the one that leads the ideas, right? So you just
Yeah.
start with something with, okay, we want a roguelike, but then what you guys want to throw in the game, and let's see if it works. Um,
Yeah, basically that. Like during the brainstorms, like I coordinate everything, but because it's really easy for people to,
drift away. Right.
yeah, drift.
Yeah, I see. We have a question from Diogo. Diogo, thank you so much for your question.
Hey, how you doing?
He's saying, I wanted to ask if they expect the game to be played more by Brazilians or foreigners.
I don't know actually. Like when we, at least for like the games we've been making,
Mm-hmm.
we never actually thought much of like how to regionalize much, like
Yeah.
how we want to have like a more focus. Like we have a lot of Brazilian players because we've been growing a lot in Brazil, and we started to see as like we started to have name here.
Mm-hmm.
So like people know a lot, know us a lot, and
That's
it's
great.
way, yeah,
That
and
makes
like
sense.
it's way easier for us to approach the media here and everything. But for No Heroes here, like our first game, I think we have more North American players than Brazilian players. I
Okay.
think Brazil is the second one. I'm not sure actually, but like the top five is not necessarily in that order,
Mm-hmm.
but the top five would be like Brazil, North America, Germany, South Korea, and France.
Oh, that's awesome. South
Yeah,
Korea. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. So like basically, we don't necessarily like think much about like, oh, we want to have more in this region or that. It's more a
Mm-hmm.
consequence of like all the context, except for a second game, that the one that I said we use a Brazilian IP that was mainly focused in Brazil. So
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah.
Okay. Um, Tell me
How many
something.
languages are you hoping to release the game in with that in mind then?
Sorry.
Uh, how many different languages you hoping to release the game in with that in mind then?
We want to release at least in the main languages that we sold our previous game.
Mm-hmm.
So like Portuguese, English, German, French, and Japanese. Like we in Brazil have like huge Asian communities. So like we have a lot of Koreans, Chinese, and Japanese here,
Mm-hmm.
and so like it's pretty easier for us to like be able to access those languages as well. But like we kind of want to go as many as many languages as we can. So like even like if after the game is released, like if we are able to put more languages, we will try to do like as much as we can. Like
That
and
equals more
Spanish.
costs for it, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's the bad part. Um, I was about to
Yeah.
ask you, do you guys have many, like, you guys have a lot of game jams there, or not really?
In Brazil, yes, but like we don't go much to game jams. We had a when we released No Heroes here, we had a bigger team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of like finishing the first project, it had online multiplayer, so like it was we were a little bit more inflated.
Mm-hmm.
We used it to make like game jams in house with the team. Like we would separate in trios and have like
Oh,
four
okay.
teams. But we like at least as a company, like if anyone in my team want to go, like they, I'm totally okay to go to game
Mm-hmm.
jams. I'm not a huge fan of it,
Okay.
but like we've been we I know that Brazil is a huge thing, but like we don't do much game jams.
Okay. Well, here in Portugal, people are actually going to it, and there's more game jams. I think it's good for people to get to know each other, so they know what they can count with, because there's people that know how to write music, there's people that know how to, I don't know, to codes, how to make something for a game in specific, like I don't know,
Audio,
graph.
video.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, like sorry.
I guess it works more on that way to get to know people, right?
Yeah, so like that's the thing. Like I used to go way more to game jams, like when I studied in Canada, and I think it's there they approach way more similar that in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
The problem where within the Brazilians game jam is mostly because like the industry here is still young and it's not well established. Like mostly because like we don't have many good developers out there. Like most
Okay.
of the good ones are already like in studios and stuff, and we are still like growing a lot, growing really like there's a long road for us.
Mm-hmm.
But people try to, at least in Brazil, right? They see game jams as opportunities for them to develop games, not necessarily like to build a team or like to showcase a portfolio or work ethic. So I kind of got to a little bit far away from game jams because of that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like um,
Okay.
the approach they have here in Brazil is not the one that I think it works. So
Okay.
I just think that my week gets more exhaustive than it's already is. So
Okay. Yeah. We were talking with Zay. Zay, it's the um, the producer of a game that it's Exophobia. It was also on Lisboa Games Week, and he was saying people on game jams just go crazy. They do like 48 hours without sleeping just to do a game.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
God damn. I still want to go to one just to see, because I don't know how to do a thing. Well, I could write about a game, but I I have my doubts about someone that wanted to work with me, because I have zero experience on doing games. But I still want to attend to one just to see the well, the atmosphere of the thing itself.
No, yeah, like uh, one thing I like about game jams, like when we try, is like just going to different things, you know.
Hmm.
So like if nowadays I would do a game jam, I would try to like have a small prototype of a project on Unreal instead of Unity, you know, just to be something like,
Hmm.
okay, I will have like these 48 hours. Like I'm not going to learn anything that is going to be useful for like an 2 years development
Yeah.
because it's like 48 hours. But at least I can see, okay, let's challenge with like different engines, or I'm a game designer, but like let me code something
Hmm.
to like challenge myself and like see if I can learn something.
Yeah, because
Great learning opportunity.
Yeah, it's a learning in process, because you're always learning something new. So you also have to Google a lot, right? Google
Yep.
is our friend.
Google is helpful.
Indeed, it is. Um, Shumaki, you have any other questions to ask?
Let's see, what was it?
You write down your questions.
Going back to some of the cards and going back to Dead Cells, all the stuff in Dead Cells has generally randomized stats, randomized substats. Do the cards work? Are they all static values or
Set values, yeah.
set values?
We want players to, like, when they choose a build, what there's going to be like the total sum of damage and everything. So like I like to think that the game has like some layers of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So like the game designers in the studio, like when we play the game, we are the ones that are the best ones to maximize damage of everything. Like we even depending like, oh, I'm not going to. So for example, like we have a vulnerability debuff that we can put on enemies. And normally what people do is like, oh, I'm going to put vulnerability on my attack card.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, but like if you put the vulnerability attack in this other card, and then you grab this extra damage if enemies on fire on this card, and you put the fire on the other card, and then like you can like maximize a lot the damage, and
Come up with
that's
some
why
creative and deadly combinations.
yes.
Sounds
So like
appealing.
that's why we wanted to go with these set numbers, because like we really want players to be able to like know exactly where they are going.
Okay, it seems fun.
And with it being a roguelite, like blah. So are there, like in some others, are there what do they have for unlockables? Like,
Okay.
will they find stuff
Yeah.
that makes it a little easier the next time or the time after?
Sure. Yeah. So this is one of the things, like as you were talking about Dead Cells, that we went to like in more its direction. So we have in the palace where you play, you have like doors, some gates actually, that has like suits. So like you have the spade gate or the heart gate, and in the game, when you start the game, you cannot open them.
Mm-hmm.
So like any of those doors, and each level has those doors, and but like so for example, like on the third level, you're going to find the heart keys,
Yeah.
and from that moment, you'll be able to open all the heart doors in the game. And so like when you play again level 1, you unlock the path to the other level 2, but you also have access like to extra treasure chests or extra shopkeepers. So as you play the game and you start finding those keys, you have access to a lot of content. And like in the end of the game, you start like, even in level 1, you start finding like 8 to 9 cards.
Yeah.
So like you just for like finding those keys, you just having like more option and finding more cards, it's already really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have like a blueprint unlockable system. So like a lot of cards or trinkets. Trinkets are passive abilities that you can choose as well. So like at the end of at the start of each level, you can equip a new trinket. So like they are not related as much to the cards. They are more like a general strength. So like, oh, you want to increase your health, or you take less damage from melee attacks, or you take less
Okay.
damage. So like it's to incentive like different play styles, or reinforce something that we want to the player to be able to be like more defensive or offensive. So like a lot of the cards and trinkets most of them, you have to find their blueprints by killing bosses or enemies. And whenever you kill enemy, you can find there's a chance to find shards, mirror shards that you can trade to unlock those, similar to the blueprint and cells on that cells. So like you have these unlockables, cards and trinkets, but you also have the permanent unlockables. So like you can unlock new potions, you start each level with more gold, or
I do that one. The two flasks. I
yeah.
always go for that one. I want to play defensive.
So like in the beginning, whenever you start a new level, you can like you have like a hub that you can like refill your potions, but you have one unlockable that you can choose between. You start to choose between refilling your potions and HP or getting a really strong card, like a really high level card. So like if you played really well, it's a positive feedback loop. So you don't need to refill potions. You can get a stronger card, and then you can play better. So like a lot of these mechanics, like as you play, you start to unlock, and the game helps you to progress through naturally.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Talking about the different keys, I only found the red one. I believe that it's the heart key.
Yeah.
I only found that. I'm trying to find the other ones.
Oh, in the build you have, we only put the hard one.
Oh, okay. So I'm okay. So I was thinking maybe I'm dying too soon every time that I played. But no, okay. I reached the boss, so okay, perfect. So I unlocked right now. I unlocked everything that the game have to unlock.
Yes.
Okay.
At least on keys. I think there's some. If you in the version in the version, whenever you defeat one of the bosses, you can unlock the other difficulty levels.
Okay.
So like the game gets harder and harder. There are 3 more difficulty levels.
Damn.
And yeah, so like I think if you find all the blueprints, there's a lot of cards to unlock. But yeah, I think for keys, that's the only one.
I promise that when I beat that boss, I will tweet about that. Okay.
Perfect.
I did it. Man, I hate those rabbits with a fork. Oh my god, they are so annoying.
Yeah, they are tough.
Damn. Yeah, they are tough. So yeah, Shmaki, you have any other questions? Chat is quiet as well. They don't have questions for us. But like I said, I will start a thread. So if you guys have any questions, you can reply to that thread. That I will tag Luis as well. So yeah.
You did mention that this one of the early ideas for this involved mechs. Are there any other equally out there early ideas you had for this?
Actually, I don't remember much. We even thought about something more like medieval or RPG, D&D fantasy like, so like more magica, like even though like we are a magician in the game, like it's not like a traditional wizard. We thought like going a little bit more traditional, but I think we kind of like it really fast the theme. So I don't remember much the other options we had.
I actually the game kind of brings me back the Alice no País das Maravilhas. I don't remember the name in English.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderlands.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of brings me back to that point because there's rabbits. Well, there's a magician, but with a head that kind of looks like the crazy head guy.
There's the like yeah. In the beginning, we when we were thinking about monsters, we had a lot of inspiration, like the bunnies, the cuckoo. So like this monstrous cuckoo, like we kind of went a little bit crazy with like other enemies. So yeah, we didn't like, it wasn't much as intention to be like too much of an too much like in that direction, but we thought it would be a cool opportunity to be more like in
It's
that
cool.
direction.
It's cool. I like the idea. I like the idea. I saw there's slimes as well as enemies.
Yes, if you find when you find the red key, you go, you access the courtyard level where you can find the slimes ones.
Okay. Still, there's something that I haven't found yet. I have to play more. I see. um. So yeah, Luis. Once again, thank you so much for being part of our podcast. It's the 10th, so thank you so much for being part of
Nice.
this. And Shmaki as well. Thank you also for being part of our project here. If you don't have any more questions, I think we're going to end the podcast here. You're good, Shmaki?
Too late to find any demo online?
Sorry.
Or wait, is there a demo? He's pl-
I'm playing a
Ah,
build, but there's no
yeah.
demo as I think so.
No, not yet, not yet. My I don't. I'm not sure what my business partner is deciding about that, but I think there's some. I think some streamers are giving some giveaway keys,
Hmm.
but not a downloadable demo. Not yet.
Okay.
all right.
Maybe we're going to have some keys to give. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, Luis, thank you so much for being part of the podcast. And you guys on chat, this will be available on YouTube tomorrow, on Spotify and on iTunes. All the links will be listed below. So you will have the Luis Twitter page and the Madmimic as well. Thank you so much for being on that side. You can also follow Shmaki and myself on Twitter, and yeah, you guys can chat
Find
with
him
us.
in the Exile cast. Like right here. Find me as Schmuckman all over the place.
There you go.
Here's some
All the
others.
links are on the chat right
Yeah,
now.
there's some more legs.
There you go. Thank you guys. Bye bye. See you on the next podcast.